So, for the most part, since Endgame ended, I was really not interested in seeing any MCU stuff or superhero movie related things, to be honest with you. The only thing that the MCU has put out since Endgame that I was genuinely 100% interested in seeing was Spider-Man No Way Home, and that in large part was due to the fact that we got hints that Tobey Maguire was gonna be in that film, and we've been waiting on a fourth Spider-Man movie from Tobey for a really long time, so it was good to get that as some sort of closure. And a lot of us were also waiting on that third Andrew Garfield Spider-Man film, so it was good to see those previous Spider-Man get their conclusion, if you want to call it that. But apart from No Way Home, I wasn't really interested in seeing most of the other MCU stuff. But now that I have taken some time to catch up on what's been going on since Endgame ended, and it looks like I was right for not being interested, because majority of these films were either mediocre or just okay. So I'm gonna give my thoughts on some of these films. Black Panther 2, my rating for Black Panther 2 right now as I sit here, probably a 6 out of 10. I think that the death scene of the Queen Mother was so unnecessary. I think that the final fight between Shuri as Black Panther against Namor was one of the least interesting final clash, or whatever you want to call it, that I've seen in not just MCU but superhero films overall. And it was kind of weird too, because Namor ended up surrendering, but he had the numbers advantage. And Doctor Strange 2 was, I think, entertaining. It was one of the more entertaining films. However, when I really sat back and thought about a lot of the things that happened in Doctor Strange 2, I was like, hey, if this was a novel, this would be one of the most entertaining, poorly written novel of all time. There's a bunch of stuff that happened in this film that was just, it was literally just random stuff. Like, they gave Wanda a power in a scene, and then in another scene, rather than her using that same ability, she just doesn't for whatever reason. And the Illuminati scene, in my opinion, it's in the conversation for being the stupidest scene in the entirety of the MCU. That was ridiculous. They should have just cut that entire section out of the film. It made no sense at all. Complete stupidity. That scene, I would give that a negative 10 out of 10. That Illuminati scene. And they should have removed the multiverse thing out of the title as well, because that didn't really play that big of a role. But anyway, Doctor Strange 2, I would give that a, I don't know, 5.5 out of 10, I guess. Thor, Love and Thunder. Now, I was really interested in seeing this film after realizing that Jane Foster was gonna have Thor-like abilities. I actually thought that what they would do would be that Jane actually has Thor's power and Thor doesn't really have any power, but then afterwards I'm like, they did that already. Well, they did the whole Thor not having any power thing already, so they wouldn't have done that. But I thought that Jane was gonna be like the main one, the more powerful one, for a while until Thor surpasses her or whatever. I thought that they were gonna dive a little bit more into the whole Jane being Thor, Jane being, we being mighty Thor or whatever. I thought they were gonna dive a little bit deeper into that. But no, this film, after seeing it, and the whole Gore the God Butcher thing, where outside of a self-defense kill, he didn't do a single God butchering on screen. Which was kind of pathetic. Well, not kind of pathetic, fully pathetic. This was an unnecessary movie. If this was all that they could have come up with for a fourth Thor film, they should have just stopped with part 3 and leave it at that. I like the goats, though, despite what a lot of people online are a lot of people online are hating on the goats, but I like them. I give Thor Love and Thunder a 5 out of 10.
If not, we can just use them for meat. People.
What else did I see? Oh yeah, WandaVision. And this was a huge reason why I felt like Wanda's character in Doctor Strange 2 for the most part did not make any sense. Towards the end of WandaVision, we didn't get the sense that she was going to be this full-blown villain and do all the things that she did in Doctor Strange 2. Overall, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. This was just a weird film. 5 out of 10. Let's move on to something else. Okay, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. No, I saw something from a YouTube channel where they were comparing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 with, they were comparing it with another film. I don't remember what other MCU film they were comparing it to, but they were comparing it to another film and they were like, hey, this film failed where Guardians 3 excelled, and this film was pretty much mediocre where Guardians of the Galaxy was a timeless classic. I don't think I would go that far to call Guardians 3 a timeless classic. A classic, in my opinion, is anything that would get an 8 or more out of 10. Overall, I don't think that Guardians was that. It is probably the best out of the 3 Guardians movies. I think that it's more of a 7 out of 10 for me personally. I like the fact that we got a truly despicable villain in the High Evolutionary. I forgot about the Eternals, so I did watch the Eternals as well, and I like multiple viewpoint stories, but I feel like this film, if you were gonna give us this many characters, I feel like this should have been like a 2-part type of film. Yeah, for the most part, I think that this was just a boring film, honestly. Yeah, I don't think that Eternals was just meh. I'd give Eternals a this is one that I would actually give less than a passing mark. I'd give it a 4 out of 10, honestly. I'm watching Agatha all along right now and I feel like I might drop it. I think that I'm gonna watch like one more episode. I've watched the first 3 episodes. I'm gonna watch the 4th one, and depending on what I see in that 4th episode, I'm out. I think that Agatha All Along episode 3 might be the single worst live action series episode that I've ever seen. I think that might be the worst one.